Okay, 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 okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you wanna support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shields. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.
The same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside, and great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth, and when the sun was up they were scorched, and because they had no root they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell into good ground, and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they, seeing, see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Esaias, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that received seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. But he that received seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he unto them, The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake Jesus unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. Then Jesus sent the multitude away, and went into the house. And his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchantman seeking goodly pearls, who when he hath found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had, and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea, and gathered of every kind, which when it was full, they drew to shore, and sat down, and gathered the good into vessels, but cast the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world. The angel shall come forth, and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Jesus saith unto them, Have ye understood all these things? They say unto him, Yea, Lord. Then said he unto them, Therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. Chapter 12. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoureth himself and lacketh bread. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desireth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be unto tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Hello. Welcome to Toronto Bible Study. Hey, Liliana. Happy New Year. Hey, it's SP. Cheers to 2025, brother. Thanks for joining, man. God bless you, my brother. So, today we're going to look at some stuff from Proverbs 24. And today it's New Year's Eve. So over here it's already 2025 over there. Happy New Year, Liliana. I forgot about that. You guys are ahead of us. That's nice. So what are your plans for the New Year's? Any plans? I don't have much plans. But hopefully it'll be a good time. I think it will. I look forward to it. Okay, so let me just say a prayer real quick and then we'll get started. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Father, you're clothed in majesty. You're clothed in strength. You're a mighty God, Father, a mighty King, mighty to save. Father, we just ask that you give us wisdom now as we study these Proverbs and help us to understand everything you're trying to teach us here. Help us to apply these things to our lives with wisdom, with righteousness, with truth. And we ask all this to glorify your holy name, Father, in the name of your holy Son, Jesus Christ. On him be glory forever and ever. Amen. Actually, wait. Sorry, you guys. Give me 1 sec, okay? Hey, sorry, you guys. Sorry about that. Anyway, okay. So today we're going to study Proverbs 24. So let me just get that up here. Proverbs 24 is the beginning of a new section as well. I mean, I do think that the book is best thought of it in terms of like three main sections, but then there are other sections within those sections, you know. So we'll see one of those today. Where's my Bible program? What's happening here? Oh, there it is. Okay, we got it. Okie doke. We're getting there, guys. Sorry about the waits. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be ready to go in 1 second. All right, Proverbs 24. So we just read Proverbs 23. Oh, hang on. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get my things together here. Okay, so we read Proverbs 23 yesterday. Or we finished it off. What do we see there? They have stricken me, that shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They've beaten me and let it not. I felt it not, shall I wait? So at the end, okay, right at the end, he's talking about these people who get sucked into these wrong ways of thinking and ways of acting, and then they get sucked in by the strange woman, and their heart starts to utter perverse things. And then they're like the person that lies down on the top of the mast, that they're just shifted around. It's like the worst place to sleep. See this thing where it says, "They've stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They've beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it again. I will seek it yet again. I will seek what yet again? I'll seek the booze again. I'll seek another drink. I need another drink to wake up." That's what he's saying there. Although that's debatable too, but I think that's pretty much what he's saying. And then now we get to chapter 24. So I'm going to read today from 1 to 22. Okay? And the first section is going to be from 1 to 12. And then we'll read from 13 to 22. And then we'll stop for today, okay? Hey, Glory. Happy New Year, brother. Thanks for joining, my man. Glad you could make it. Just looking at Proverbs 24 today. So I'll read or let me just talk about a little bit about the whole chapter. So the chapter divides into two parts, basically, okay? You have this first section from 1 to 22. And then you see how it says here, these things also belong to the wise. See that? That's similar to what it said in 22 when we read that there was a new chapter beginning over there. Let me just show you that. So in chapter 22, it was here. It was here, 17. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise. The words of the wise, you see? The words of the wise. And here we say, these things also belong to the wise. And actually, the word things here and the word belong aren't even there in the Hebrew. So it's just kind of these to the wise. These also to the wise, you might say. Okay, but the fact is, it sounds like it's a new beginning, a new section beginning. And then it starts with these other new sayings. And there seems to be almost like these are one-line sayings, but they're very closely linked. So we'll see that as we go in. But that's the important thing you want to know here, that there's a new section beginning. We won't get into the new section today though. But so it's kind of like, so what we saw here was hear the words of the wise. And so the sayings from here to 24:22 might be thought of as the words of the wise. And then here where it says these things also belong to the wise, it's like some more sayings, some more interesting sayings that are belonging to those people. Now in this section from 1 to 22, you see a lot of repetitions of the idea of the house, and also using strength to help others instead of bringing them down. And then in the next section, you have this idea of the house and the field kind of being put together or put beside each other and compared. And then you have some Lord sayings. You see, like where it says, whenever you see this name of God, the Lord, Lord, all capitalized, that's it. That's his name, right? So there's a few of those sayings here as well. Let me see. At the beginning here, we have it. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's only in the next section that they begin with the Lord sayings. That's probably because it's at the beginning of the new section. They start with that idea of the Lord. Interesting. Or you could say, this is at the end of this section actually, so that's a little bit different. And then we have this one, the Lord see it. So that's interesting. So we have a few of these Lord sayings here. What else do we have here? And then you have some symbols of the gate. You know, the gate where the people meet and they have their little trials and stuff. That's in this section. So it frames the sayings of the wise, you know? And also you have this idea of using your power to help the powerless. So we'll see that here. Now the first section from 1 to 12, it's about advocacy and not envying people. So advocacy meaning like you're trying to help them. And also you're trying to not envy them, right? So the first two, you have this idea of don't envy the wicked people. 3 and 4, you have this idea that wisdom builds the house and also fills it. And then 5 and 6, you have this idea that by wisdom you can grow in power. And then from 7 to 10, you have this idea of the fools, the schemers, and the weaklings, and talking about them. And then 11 and 12, you have the idea of rescuing those that are headed to death. We'll talk about that. Then from 13 to 22, you have this idea of trusting and hoping in God and not gloating and not using violence, okay? So 13 and 14 have this idea that wisdom nourishes like honey. Okay. Then 15 and 16 says, don't lie in wait for the righteous people. 17 and 18 says, don't gloat when your enemies fall. This one's about not envying the evildoers and don't fret about what they do. And then these two are about don't fear God and the king. Okay? And we'll talk about the rest of them later on. But okay, let me just so I'll read the first 12 and then we'll talk about it, okay? Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. For their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. Through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all the precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel shalt thou make war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. Wisdom is too high for a fool; he openeth his mouth not in the gate. He that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. If thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if thou sayest, Behold, we knew it not, does not he that pondereth the heart consider it, and he that keepeth thy soul, doth he not know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? Amen. So you see that there was, well, anyway, let's talk about each of these individually. So we have the benefits and responsibility of wisdom are described here by different metaphors, you know? First, you have the house here, and then you have something, it's kind of like military strength, I guess you could kind of describe it. And this is about the gate. But then there's also this idea that the wise should be there to help their neighbors, because their neighbors, not being wise, need help, you know? And this one is about that idea too. So let's look at the first two here. Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. For their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. Okay? This is very much like the teachings of last chapter from 15 to 21. If you read this section, my son, if thine heart be wise, my heart shall rejoice, even mine. Yea, my reign shall rejoice when thy lips speak right things. Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. Hear thou, my son, and be wise, and guide thine heart in the way. Be not among winebibbers, among rioters, eaters of flesh. For the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So you see how it's giving you the similar kind of warnings. But this is more kind of packed into just two lines, right? Now, the idea of envy, that's what we saw here. Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. And it also says something similar here. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh. So you have this idea here. It's over. True Speller says it's over. What's over, True Speller? Your false career of being a Bible teacher? You're pretending to know the Bible to teach people a bunch of nonsense? Is that what's over? I guess we can only hope. But anyway, so those themes appeared already, right? And they were warned against those who were already been warned in these last two chapters against the people who use their hearts or their lips to do violence against other people. Okay, instead of speaking rightly and also fearing the Lord, right? That's what we read there in 15 to 21. And the thing is, what we're seeing here is the choice of companions. It's who are we gonna be friends with? Who are we gonna desire to be with? Is it because we envy them? We envy their power, their riches, yeah. But if we go into desire to be with them, no, it's gonna lead to destruction, because their heart study is destruction and their lips talk of mischief. So we don't want to be those kind of people, right? Well, I mean, what's the good that's going to come out of associating with these people? All they do is think about and speak about trouble and destruction, right? So there's nothing to envy there except for maybe they get some easy money, or they get some fast money or something, right? Because they're crooked, right? But that's nothing to envy either, because it doesn't last, They might have it for a little bit, it might look cool for a little bit, but in the long run, they're not going to have it, as we've already read in Proverbs, right? So now the next section is this one. Through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So you have this association with wisdom and building the house, right? Which we saw already in chapter 9. Lady Wisdom. Wisdom hath builded her house. She has hewn out her 7 pillars. She hath killed her beast. She hath mingled her wine. She hath also furnished her table. She has sent forth her maidens, as she crieth upon the highest places of the city. So she builds her house, and then she invites everyone to the meal, right? So that's the first time we saw that idea of wisdom and building the house. We see it again here. Proverbs 14, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. So the wise person builds the house, right? This is again a wise woman. And in Proverbs 9, it was the Lady Wisdom who had built her house, right? So here we see through wisdom is an house builded, and by understanding it is established. And by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. It's by wisdom that we can not only build the house, but make it into this nice place to live, and it's pleasant and full of treasures and stuff, right? That's what we want, right? And it's filled with treasures that are rare and beautiful, precious and pleasant, right? Let's see some of that. We saw some of that. Proverbs 3:15. Wisdom, she is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. So wisdom itself is more precious than rubies, right? So when you can build your house with wisdom, you've already got a treasure more valuable than rubies and all this stuff. But look what she says here, Lady Wisdom again. Riches and honor are with me, yea, durable riches and righteousness. Durable riches, that is not the fast, not the easy come, easy go riches of the wicked people, right? Who just they take people's stuff and they try to get easy money. That's going to be gone quickly too. It doesn't last. It's not durable like this one, yeah. Now, wealth can be obtained by this type of violence, like we saw in the previous 2 verses, right? These people do often get wealth, get money, right? But it doesn't last. Here's these guys. Remember in chapter 1, those young men were trying to convince the son to follow them to rob the people. They say, we shall find all precious substance, we shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in thy lot among us, let us all have one purse. So they're going to get riches, right? Well, look what he says. Their feet run to evil and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird. And they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. So are the ways of every one that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the lives of the owners thereof. So they're gonna end up stuck in their own, in their own trap. They're gonna get trapped in, taken down by their own devices. That's what we often see in the Bible as well. And then this idea is picked up again at the end of this chapter too. I mean, we will read it as we go in. We'll read it tomorrow, I guess, or not tomorrow, on Thursday, but it's the same idea. So this is going to get developed more, but we've already seen this idea before, that these people, when they try to get their money and their fast money and stuff, they end up trapping themselves, right? The idea here at the bottom here is that unless you work wisely and kind of, do your work properly in the fields when you're working in a wise way, then your house will be empty. And there's also this danger that goes along with wealth or with greed. And so Proverbs has talked about this. But here the idea is that, when you have wisdom, then as Lady Wisdom told us, right? She has riches and honor are in her hands, right? This is when the father was telling us about Lady Wisdom, but he says length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. So this is how we're going to get these riches and honor, by wisdom, not by following the ways of these wicked people, right? So that's how that's about. Now, 24, 5-6. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety. So you have some components of the previous verses coming together here, That's what we often see. For example, the wise man is strong, stronger than a fortress. We saw that in a wise man scaleth the city of the mighty, and casteth down the strength of the confidence thereof. So the wise man can get into the mighty's, their walled city, their castle, right? He casts it down, because they don't have, his wisdom is stronger than their city and their walls, and then you have this idea of the many counselors, right? By wise counsel shalt thou make war, right? We saw that before. Proverbs 11:14, where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. So the multitude of counselors, the good advice from a number of different sources, allows you to make a good decision. If you try to do it without that, just try to go on your own, figure it out on your own, well, you're not doing it in a wise way. It's not a smart way to do things. And then the idea that these two things together can give us advice for war is also found here. Proverbs 20:18. Every purpose is established by counsel, and with good advice make war. So we've already seen that counsel is good for the wise. We've already seen that wisdom is by counsel we should make war. Okay, so this is just reinforcing that idea, but it also adds some more ideas, like in multitude of counselors there's safety, which we did see before as well, the idea of the multitude of counselors, but that wasn't attached to this idea of war. So now they're bringing together a bunch of different ideas from different proverbs that we've already read, and they're mixing it up and making it into a new idea, which is something that we do see in this last section more than we saw previously. Previously, we saw kind of more simpler ideas And now they're sort of blending them, synthesizing them, and giving us to this new kind of understanding of these things. So it's more advanced as we get through the book. At the beginning of the book, it was kind of the longer poems, and they're sort of introducing you to this idea of wisdom. Okay, then from chapter 10 to 15, we saw the antithetical parallelisms. Those are kind of like the most basic, or not the most basic, but they're, I won't say basic, but they're the most like kind of simple in their design, in the way that they're teaching you, right? And then as you get into it now, and from 15 to 22, we saw a little bit more complex ideas, and it's more of the synonymous parallelism and other things, other type of sayings and stuff. Some also more of the riddles and those type of sayings. Okay, and then now from 22:17 up until here in this section, we see they're often these one line sayings, but they're often 2 or 3 line sayings, which we didn't really see before, you know. So now they're becoming more complex. They're becoming more kind of advanced, you know. But between this idea of 5 and 6, you have this limits on the power of the wise, you know, like because even no matter how wise you are, you still want to get more counsel, and you don't just run off to war without seeking good advice, you know. So the wise man is not wise by himself. He's wise in his group, in his collective. When they work together, then they can give wise counsel and do wise things, you know. It's not to say they're wise in their own lives, but when you want to do these big moves like war, it's not something most people can't understand all the factors involved in a decision like that. Just one person can't do that. What you need is kind of experts in different areas to give you a kind of broad idea of what's going on. Like one guy he's an expert on domestic affairs, and another guy's an expert on, you know, diplomacy, and another guy is an expert on actual fighting and wars and stuff. So you need the input from all these people to make the right decision, right? And also, by the way, wisdom is also, it's like a man of knowledge increases strength. A wise man is strong. For by counsel shalt thou make war, and in multitude of counsels there is safety. That shows you that the wise man, to get strong, is getting more wisdom from his counselors and stuff. You know, he's not simply strong by himself. He's strong by gaining more wisdom, by learning more, or constantly trying to build up his wisdom. As he gets more wisdom, he gets stronger. How does he get wisdom? He counsels. He gets counsel from other wise people. You know? Because although these people are strong, they don't get victory until they have their multitude of counselors. Only in the multitude of counselors is there safety. So you can get strength by wisdom, but you don't get safety until you get the multitude of counselors. So it's not safety by yourself. It's safety in the group and the community where we work together, wise people working together in the fear of God, you know? That's the idea there. Okay, moving on to wisdom is too high. I'm going to read this from 7 to 10. Wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth in the gates. He that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. So we had this previously we had this very glowing portrait of wisdom, right? Here, wisdom is just this amazing thing. And then now we see, I mean, of course, wisdom is an amazing thing, right? Which is true. But now we're seeing a kind of different side of it. Like the fool, the schemer, and I mean, or the mischievous person, I guess, and then also the scorner, the person who thinks in foolishness, you know. And then also this guy, the strength is small. He's like the weak person, you know. So these people are the ones. They're the ones who lack wisdom, right? So now we're gonna find out about them. If guidance and counsel help us win the battle here, right? Guidance from wise people help us win the battle, right? Well, what happens with these fools or these foolish people? Pejuang Pangaran Nasrani says, am I right in thinking that nightmares are satanic? I'm sealed with the Holy Ghost, but I have had nightmares that feel demonic. I think I don't think you would be right in thinking that. I don't think we should assume that any of our dreams are from the devil or anything. In fact, it would be the most reasonable assumption is to assume that none of them are from the devil. Okay, but there it's possible. It's possible, I suppose, but I've never heard of such a thing, and we don't see it in the Bible either. We don't see anything in the Bible of the demons or the devils giving people dreams, as far as I know. Are you aware of anything like that? So I don't think you should. I don't think you should think of nightmares as satanic, Pejuang. I think you should think of them as just being nightmares, and it's just part of your psychology, and it's nothing that bad, okay? Hey, Kenneth. God bless you, brother. Thanks for joining. Happy New Year, man. We see false prophets following their dreams and visions in the days of Jeremiah. Interesting. False prophets, yeah. But they're false prophets, you know. They're not you, man. I don't think so. I don't think that's something that you should think about. It's happened back then, you know. They're literal false prophets, you know. And they're it's like they want to follow their dreams, their satanic dreams or whatever, you know. But you're not trying to do that. You're just a Christian man living your life, and sometimes you get nightmares. That's what happens. It's got nothing to do with demons or anything like that, you know. And we don't see that in the Bible. We don't see, or you know what? If there was true that we might have demonic dreams or something like that, then the New Testament would tell us about that. They would warn us. They would say, hey, sometimes you might have a dream. It's just a demonic thing. Don't worry about it. They would tell us that, right? But instead, they don't mention that because it doesn't happen, okay? That's my take on it anyway. I'm not trying to, if you have a different opinion, that's totally fine, but I think you're wrong if you do. But that's, thanks for your question, though. I appreciate that. So anyway, so we saw it even happens in the modern church. You hear people claiming to have visions of God, things like God told me. Yeah, no. Well, that's what they call, that's the charismatism thing that we kind of, on this channel, we criticize that way of thinking. Because I don't believe that occurs. And you know, that there are these Pentecostals and charismatics that believe that, but the Bible, once again, the New Testament doesn't suggest that we're going to hear anything from God or that God's going to talk to us or anything like that. So I am definitely against all that kind of thinking. Does the Bible say anything about demonic oppression? I don't think it does. I mean, you have these stories of some people being possessed, not oppressed, but possessed by demons, right? And then Jesus will cast them out, or one of the disciples will cast them out. That's all the stories we read really about it. You know, there's nothing else in the whole New Testament about that stuff. After the book of Acts, you don't read about any kind of demonic anything. So I would suggest to you that no, that doesn't happen. There's no demonic oppression. And that's all just a myth, you know? It's just all by these people that they want to get you into this idea that you might be oppressed by demons and we have to cast the demon out and all this stuff. But look, it's not in the Bible, you know? I'm sorry. I understand that Paul did that stuff, but Paul doesn't write to us in the letters and say, or to those people in the letters and say, this is what you do if a demon is oppressing you. This is what you do if you have a person that's possessed by a demon. He never talks about that because it's not something that he expected us to experience, yeah? Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry, yeah, I know. Sometimes they'll just go on and on. Yeah, like let me know. Yeah, if you're like, okay, all right, got it, thanks. I hate it when the RCC categorize the charismatic Pentecostal WO heretics as Protestants along with us because we are not with them. You don't have to respond to my comments. Sorry. Yeah, okay. Okay. I'll stop responding right away. But yeah, keep the comments coming. I appreciate them. But yeah, I'll keep going with the Bible study. Anyway, so where were we? We were talking about how these people they go and get counsel to make war, right? So guidance and counsel from the wise people help you win the war, win the battle, right? But the fool has nothing to give, no wisdom to give at the gate. Remember, the gate is where they go to kind of do their they'll meet with the elders of the city at the gate, and they'll do different like kind of public proceedings, like maybe making some real estate deals or lawsuits or even some wedding arrangements and things like that. They'll do those things at the gates, okay? Because that's where the elders will go in the day, and they'll kind of they'll hold court there. You know what I mean? So that's why they do that. For example, that's why they say that here, the gates. We saw this in Ruth, for instance. I always go to Ruth. There's lots of examples of this. Like, for example, I always go to the Ruth one, but if you look at Genesis 19, and there came two angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. Lot sat in the gate, see? Because he's like, even though he's a foreigner, right? He's kind of rich and stuff, so that's why they took him in, and probably he was being blessed by God, so they saw it. They're like, okay, this guy's serious. Let's check him out. And he sat in the gate. And then look, when the people come to his house, right? Remember, he takes the angels back to his house. And then the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round about, right? And they called to Lot, where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out that we may know them. Lot went out the door, shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brother, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known a man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore came they under the shadow of my roof. And they said, stand back. And they said again, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now will we deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. See how it says, this one fellow came in to sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Because they're saying he came in as a foreigner to sojourn, to just sit, to visit, kind of like, or he's not from there, but he's there. So usually those type of people, they kind of tolerate them or whatever. They might kind of oppress them, but they generally would not make them a judge. Okay, but in fact, he is a judge. That's why he's sitting at the gate, right? Because he's become so. Because once again, God has blessed him. He's very rich already, so they respect him, and they made him a judge in the gate. But now, when he resists their lust, then now they want to attack him and stuff like that. But that's the idea of the gate, okay? And we saw that in Ruth. Do you remember we talked about how Ruth, when Boaz wanted to arrange to marry Ruth, he first had to meet with there was another man who was like a closer relative of her husband who died. So Boaz, to marry Ruth, he had to make a deal with that guy. And we saw that in Ruth chapter 4. Then Boaz went up to the gate and sat him down there. And behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by. unto whom he said, and then he turned and sat the man down, right? And then he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit ye down here. And they sat down. And he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, sell us the parcel of land which was our brother Elimelech's. Elimelech is Naomi's husband who died, and it's his brother, that is, they're kinsmen. They're not brothers, but they're saying he's our brother, like he's our family. And so he says, and I thought to advertise these, saying, buy it before the inhabitants and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me that I may know. For there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I'll redeem it. Because he wants the land, right? He's like, okay, I'll take the land. Sure, I'll buy that thing for cheap. But then he said, Boaz, what day thou buyest the field of the land of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. So he has to marry Ruth, but that's part of the law, right? To marry her, to give her children, so that her dead husband, who is this guy's cousin, so that man will have a child and have the inheritance, right? But then this man now, he doesn't want to mess up his life, his inheritance, his family life and stuff. So he's like, whoa, I didn't know I had to marry it. That's what he says, and I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar my own inheritance. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. And so then they do the deal. They make this deal, right? Oh, okay, I don't want to redeem it. You redeem it, Boaz. So now they make this deal. They do it at the gate in front of the elders of the city. That's why when it says here, wisdom is too high for fool, he openeth not his mouth in the gate. That's what they're talking about. Job was probably not an Israelite. He seems to have been like an Edomite. If you know about the Edomites, are the ones descended from Esau. So the Israelites are descended from Jacob, and the Edomites are descended from Esau. That's Jacob's brother. Job seems to be an Edomite. It's not clear though exactly who he is, but his friends are like, one of his friends is Eliphaz the Temanite, and Teman is one of Esau's descendants. So that's why they say that Job's probably a Edomite. But they don't really know. Anyway, so this is the gate, right? The gate, that's where they make the public decisions. And then also the idea that you know, he openeth not his mouth in the gate, that's also a kind of sign of his lack of wisdom as well. Like, it's not that in other parts of Proverbs you'll read that if a person keeps his mouth closed, then he may appear wise even though he's a fool, you know? But the thing is, when you're at the gate and you're kind of expected to say wise things and do and make good decisions and stuff. So if you're there and you're not able to do that, then that indicates that you're a fool, you know? But okay, but now in 8 and 9, he that deviseth to do evil shall be called a mischievous person. The thought of foolishness is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. These are linked by this idea of the deviseth, you know? Because it brings in together this guy, he that deviseth to do evil. And the mischievous person. The Mitzimah Baal. You see how see this one? The mischievous person? This is Baal is like the Lord. So it's actually kind of saying like the Lord of schemes or something like that. The Lord of wicked plans, you know? Hey, typical. God bless, brother. Thanks for joining, man. Just going through Proverbs 24 here. So yeah, so that idea, the Baal Mezimot, is like the Lord of schemes, or the Lord of wicked plans, the Lord of, but they call it mischievous person in the kingdom, which is what it means. But it's interesting that the Hebrew uses that phrase. And then because it's kind of linked with this idea of the schemes of folly, For example, we saw this here, 22:15. The foolishness that's bound in the heart of a child. It's that same idea. That foolishness, the iwalet, is the same idea as we see here in 24:7. That you will. This is the fool. The word for the fool here is that you will. Baal is a false god, yeah, but Baal is the name of a false god, right? But it also is the word. The word itself, Baal, means Lord. So you'll have to see the Hebrews use the word Baal, and it doesn't mean, it's not related to that god, right? It's just the fact that it means Lord. It just means that, Similar to the way that we call the Lord, we call him Adonai, right? They'll call in those other languages that are very similar to Hebrew, right? They'll often say Baal about their God because they're saying Lord. That's his name, So that's why they'll say that. But so that's so this idea of the scorner is linked with this foolishness, okay? It's the person that makes plans with no accountability, He devises to do evil, right? And then he makes this kind of, that's why his thought is foolishness. That's why his thought is sin, He devises to do evil. It's a thought of foolishness. And then you see the same person. If thou faints or falters when there is this adversity that comes, then that means your strength is small. You're weak. You don't have the strength. Which is similar, which is like the opposite of this guy, right? The wise man is strong. His knowledge increases his strength, right? Whereas this man, his strength is weak. His strength is small, his strength is small. See? And then this word for adversity is repeated, I believe. Let me see. You see how it is? If thou faint in the day of adversity, the adversity is the tzara. It's the trouble, right? And then it says thy strength is tsar, trouble, or like narrow. It's like they're related words. They're not the same word, but they're related because they have the same roots. So it's a word play again. If thou faint in the day of trouble, then your strength is trouble, or you might say, right? But it's not the exact same word. This is the trouble word. This is like the word of smaller or narrow. Okay? But it's saying that if you faint in the day of trouble, adversity, thy strength is small. But these two words are related in Hebrew. So that's why there's this word play going on there. Okay? It's good to notice those things. So this may be the kind of climax of this whole section. If you look at this whole section from 1 to 10, it's kind of like this is the sort of ending off last saying here, And so it's like, but it also continues into these two as well, into 11 and 12 as well. So we'll get into that as well. But, you know, it's like when your strength falters and you've been called on to help others, then that might be what this is about, you know? Because this is about your strength fails you in the day when your trouble comes, right? But then now this section is about people asking you for help when they're in trouble. So maybe there's some kind of relationship there. Hey, Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, brother. Thank you very much. God bless you. No, yeah, well, I mean, the word Lord in Hebrew is Adonai, okay? But they'll sometimes use that word Baal as well. I'm not really sure. I'm trying to think of an example when they use that word Baal for something like that. Let me see if I can find one. Okay. This is the word Baal. See, here it means confederate. See what they're doing? See, sometimes the word will just say it's like he made him his lord kind of thing, you know? Or they're like connected in some way or something, you know? So anyway, let's keep seeing some other examples here. For she is a man's wife. You see this? She's a man's wife. Baalit, Baal. so this is when it says God came to Abimelech in a dream. Remember that story when God came to Abimelech because he took away Sarah from Abraham? And then so I mean, I'm answering this thing about the Baal thing, right? So if you know this story, Genesis 20 verse 3, God came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said to him, behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. This word is Baal, and this word is Baalut or Baalat, which is like the one that the Lord married, the man married, or the Lord here, he married. She's the Lord's wife. She is a man's wife. Anyway, so the word has some different uses in Hebrew than just referring to that false god. So I just want you to be aware of that. Hey, yeah, I know it has been a while, brother. God bless you, my man. Interesting. Tuhan. Interesting. Lord and God. Interesting. Thanks for that language tip. All right, we're gonna move on though, but thanks for that. I'm glad we had that time to discuss those issues. Wow, it's already 8:07. Okay, anyway, so I'm gonna start moving a little bit faster here, guys, I guess, because this is crazy. Nah, it doesn't mean that, man. I mean, we don't really know what Yehovah means. We don't really know what it means. Yeah, I am who I am. It's not. It doesn't. That's not how they say it. They say it like this. How's it? Ahaya, Asher, Ahaya. That's how it is. I am means Ahaya. Ahaya, I am. Okay, and then the who there is like asher. So I am who I am is ahaya, asher, ahaya. Okay. So it's not really Jehovah. That's not, or whatever, however they pronounce that word, the YHWH. It's not the same thing. But anyway, so now in 11 and 12, now what do we see here? If thou forbear to deliver him that are drawn, to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain. If thou sayest, behold, we knew it not. Doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth he not know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? So this is an interesting little saying here. They're basically saying that the wise should use their strength when there's trouble, right? To use it to help people that need their help. And which is kind of like what we saw here. Like, so this is saying if you faint when there's trouble coming, that means you're weak. Your strength is small, right? And now it's saying, look, if you forbear to help the people when they need help, then what are you doing? God will see. God will know that you pondered it to help them, but you didn't. He's going to be aware of that. That's what they're saying here. So the idea is that there's people are being drawn unto death and ready to be slain, right? The drawn unto death is this word. It's kind of like they're being taken. They're being seized, okay? And they're ready to be slain. The ready is mot. I don't know that word mot. But they're drawn to death, deliver them. There's one word here I'm trying to find. Oh, hasak, the forbear. So it's like if you forbear to deliver them that are drawn to death and those that are ready to be slain. If you hold back from delivering them, that is from saving them from that trouble, right? Then God is going to know. Hey SP, what's up, brother? If thou sayest, behold, we knew it not, doth not he that pondereth the hearts consider it? So if you say, oh, we didn't know, meanwhile you did know, well, God knows. God knows that you knew. So you could tell people that you didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know they were going to get dragged to death. But really, God knows, right? So when you try to hold that back, he's well aware of it. Now, why are these people being led to their death? Maybe it's because of their own foolishness, like kind of like they haven't been advised well. They haven't taken counsel, maybe that's why. Maybe they're not like listening, Or maybe they were accused at the gate, and they were unjustly accused, but the fool didn't open their mouth. Maybe that's what it is. Why exactly are they being drawn to death? We're not sure. Right? But this verse here is unusual because it's got like 4 lines to it, right? Or 4 kind of like sentences or something we might say. So it's an interesting verse. We don't usually see them take this kind of form. But it's naming again this one who watches and repays. Who is it? Doth not he that pondereth the heart considereth? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth not he know it? Who pondereth the hearts? Who keeps the soul? We know, right? Where can we see that? This is kind of related. Remove not the old landmark and enter not into the fields of the fatherless, 23:10. For their Redeemer is mighty, he shall plead their cause with thee. The Redeemer is God again. So it's that person who is watching, who's who's weighing the hearts, who's pondering the hearts, right? He's well aware of all these things. Now, when it comes to these sort of what do they call these? The rhetorical questions, right? It's clear that the first line is this falsehood. It's this false idea, you know? Similar to what we saw in 23:29. Who hath woe? Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions? Who hath babbling? Who hath wounds without cause? Who hath redness of eyes? It's the rhetorical question. So they're saying that, okay, the answer is this. They that tarry long at the wine. Those people, they're the ones. So here when you see this rhetorical question, if thou sayest, behold, we knew it not, doth not he that pondereth the hearts consider it? Well, the answer is that yes, he absolutely considers it. And he's not just going to let it go. All right. Any plans for New Year's Eve? My plans are to have a live tonight. We're gonna do a live. I got no life, you know, so I'm just might as well do a live. Let's see who shows up. Let's have some fun, talk some Bible stuff. No, I didn't see it. I'll check it out though. Gene Kim. He's smart. He's smart. He is a smart guy, but I mean, he's very foolish in another way. Yeah, it should be fun, bro. Come with us if you're not doing anything. But anyway, the main idea here is that look, there's no excuse for standing by and not doing anything when you could help somebody, right? You know you can help this person. They're being drawn to their death. They're ready to be slain. And you don't say anything. You say, "Oh, I didn't know. We knew it not." Well, God knows, and He's going to be well aware, and so you might get away with it in your life, but you won't get away with it with Him. And there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse if you can help somebody, if they need your help, and you can help someone, and you have that's in your power to do it, then you should. Okay. And God pays those things back, remember, right? So remember that, I mean, we already know from James, where is it? James 5. Oh, sorry, it's 4:17, I think. 4:17. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin, right? So if you know that you could do good, but you don't do it, it's a sin, right? That's what we see here. And also we know that if you take pity on the poor, God will repay you. Is it Proverbs 17 too? No. Is it 15 too? Anyway, wow. I can't remember any of these things now. Oh, wow. Proverbs 19:17. Okay. I don't remember this one. He that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. So it's one of these things. Like you might say, "Oh man, I don't want to deal with this," but this person's in big trouble. They're gonna die, right? So you got you might get in trouble or you might not, whatever. But listen, you got to do something, you know. And so. And if you don't, God's going to be aware, right? But if you do, just remember that he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. So yeah, you might get in a little trouble or something, maybe not, maybe not, but God's going to remember. So that's why it's worth it, even if you do get in trouble. There's so many false teachers out there. Are there any good ones that you can recommend? I don't know. I swore off recommending people. I used to recommend people, and then I realized that a lot of them aren't that good. Like I used to recommend Yankee Arnold and them, and then I started seeing their weaknesses of their teaching. Gene Kim's not as awesome as you might think, as people. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, so I was recommending people. I used to recommend people, and then it turned out that a lot of them are idiots. So I stopped recommending people now. I mean, I'll tell people, I'll send people like if they want kind of like basic instructions and stuff, I'll send them to like Ono. But even him, like I'll tell them like some of the stuff he says isn't right either. And even me, right? I want you guys to be aware, like I do my best, right, to try to avoid mistakes. But obviously, I'm not that organized. I'm kind of weird sometimes, right? So you got to keep me on my toes too, right? So I mean, I do recommend my own teaching, and I do think some people are pretty good teachers. Like Ono's not bad. I think he's all right, you know, for a simple kind of way of looking at it. You're never going to get anything deep out of him, but if you want that simple teaching about some of the simpler verses, you can get that. That's what James 2 talks about. We're gonna have a New Year's stream tonight, but I don't know about randomly. I don't know what we're gonna do anyway. J Jew is pretty underrated too. Nah, hyperdispensationalists is weird, dude. Don't like. I mean, they're alright, I guess, but I would be careful with those people. I recommend Yeshua. Who's Yeshua? Jesus. I recommend him too. Charles Stanley's the best preacher on TV. Stanley's all right. He's sometimes, I mean, he's pretty free gracie, sassy or something, but sometimes he'll say some weird stuff too. But yeah, you're right. No one's perfect. No one's perfect. But there's a difference between being not perfect and being a false teacher. Okay. And I would suggest to you that anyone who teaches any kind of faith, works-based salvation or anything is just a false teacher. And I'm not saying that you can't learn from them, because I learn from those people too. So they do study the Bible, you know, they study scholars. Some of them are scholars, right? So we can learn from them. Or the scholars I read, most of the scholars I read, they're not free grace, right? But they have studied the Bible, and I've studied the Bible, so I can take their information that they give me and put it into this free grace lens and tell you guys about it. Right, and that's what I basically do here on this channel, right? But I mean, you got to be careful, man. You got to be careful. So anyway, so the main idea there is that you don't want to like stand by and let evil happen. All right, if something evil is going to happen and you have the power to stop it, then put a stop to it. And notice that here it's like God is going to know, right? And he'll render to every man according to his works. That is, if you have power to do good, but you don't do it, that is sin, right? James 4:17. So God is going to render to every man according to his works. And remember, this is talking to save people. This is talking to people who are going to heaven and who know they're going to heaven. But they also know that there's still consequences for bad and there's rewards for doing good. Even in addition to going to heaven, which is just by faith alone, they also know that if they do good, then they'll be rewarded and blessed. If they do bad, then they will have consequences. They will be chastened. And so that's who he's writing to when he says this. When he says he'll render to every man according to his works, he's not talking about going to hell or anything. He's simply talking about the consequences that even a saved person must face when they do evil, okay? But now I'll read to you. So now we're going to go to, wow, it's 8:20 already. Now we're going to go to 13 to 22, okay? And this is the next section, you might say. I'll just read it to you and then we'll talk about it. My son, eat thou honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to thy taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul. When thou hast found it, then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. Lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Spoil not his resting place. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, and let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth. Lest the Lord see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be thou envious at the wicked. For there shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, who knoweth the ruin of them both. Amen. Okay, so let's talk about this more in depth, right? The honey. We've already seen wisdom being compared to the honeycomb before, but we'll talk about this. I mean, right off the bat, it's compared to honey, and it's also this idea that it's sweet and also that it gives you health. It's nutritious. It is good, you know? And so wisdom is like that for your soul. And then afterward, we have these kind of prohibitions against don't do this, lay not wait, rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, fret not because of evil men, and fear thou the Lord, and meddle not with them that are given to change. So there's 4 what they call admonitions, or when they tell you not to do something, basically, right? That's what they call the kind of admonition or prohibition, you might say. All right. But the first idea is this idea that wisdom is like honey. It's sweet. It's good for you. Okay. And this is adding to the idea because we already saw that wisdom is this thing that builds the house, right? Through wisdom is a house built, and by understanding is established, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with precious and pleasant riches. So it's building on that idea. But then when we come down to here, it's more like talking about how it's like this thing that you take into your body, and it makes you healthy and strong, like honey, and it also tastes sweet. Right. But some other examples of this type of thing. Where do we see this? Well, okay, but where else about? We saw this that it builds the house and it's filled with precious and pleasant riches. The wise man is strong, increases strength. Wisdom is too high for the fool, right? So we have this praise of wisdom already. And then earlier in Proverbs, we saw, for example, pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones. The pleasant words. And this is the words of the wise, right? The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth and addeth learning to his lips. So the wise, the wisdom comes out of their mouth, right? And then when it says pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul, health to the bones, it means the words of the wise, the words of the learned, the people with learning, right? So that's that. And then when we see, for example, in 1911, the discretion of a man deferreth his anger, and it is his glory to pass over a transgression. So, oh, sorry. What am I talking about? That's not the one I was going to show you. I was going to show you Psalms 1911. Wow, really? Really? You're really going to do that? Oh, man, so bad. Anyway. Come on. Psalms. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Okay, more sweeter than the honey, and the honeycomb is like, it's funny in the Hebrew. It looks like sweeter than the honeycomb or something like that. It's very nice the way it sounds in Hebrew, but anyway. Psalm 119. Wait, what? Psalm 119. 103. How sweet are thy words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. So you see, this is a fairly common idea. But I like these. Proverbs 5:13. I have not obeyed the voice of thy teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. Oh, because this guy doesn't. He's not listening to the wisdom. So that's why he loses all his wealth. Strangers are filled with his wealth. Laborers be in the house of a stranger. That's why he ends up like that. Proverbs 25:16. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith and vomit it. So this is an interesting one. So you don't want to overeat the honey, right? You want to eat so much as you're good, and don't overdo it, because then you might vomit it up. Which is an interesting idea, because this probably also applies to wisdom. You don't want to try to become overly wise, you know? We saw that in Ecclesiastes. It literally says, be not overly righteous, be not overly wise, you know? And so there's that aspect as well. Proverbs 25:27. It is not good to eat much honey. So for men to search their own glory is not glory. So here it's like eating too much honey is like trying to build up. You're trying to eat so much that you can get more than you need, right? So similarly, when you try to get your own glory instead of trying to get the glory of God, right? Now you're trying to fill your belly, and similar to like before, when you eat too much honey, you vomit it up. That's what it's kind of hinting at here, you know? But going back to 24:12 or 24:13. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out this. Oh, you know what's interesting? The honey of wisdom here. No, so this thing is like, eat thou honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to thy taste. So the wisdom is like honey, like a honeycomb, right? So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul. When thou hast found it, then there shall be a reward, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. And then if you go to 23:18, for surely there is an end, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. Well, why is there an end and that expectation shall not be cut off? Because they did not envy sinners, and that instead they were in the fear of the Lord all the day long. That's how they can have their expectation shall not be cut off, right? So then when we come down here, the expectation shall not be cut off. Why? Because they took in the wisdom, and they took it in like the honey and the honeycomb, you know? And there's something down here too, something similar. For there shall be no more reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. So the candle of the wicked is put out because they didn't do this. They didn't take in the honey of the honeycomb of the wisdom. Now we can see sometimes there's wisdom in honey, sometimes not. Let me show you some examples. 1 Samuel. In this story, Saul was taking the army across the thing, right? And he told the men, no, don't eat any food or anything whatsoever. Don't even drink any water, nothing, until we fight the battle. Okay. And the men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had adjured the people, saying, "Cursed be the man that eateth any food until evening, that I may be avenged on mine enemies." So none of the people tasted any food. But then, and then they came to the land of the wood. There was honey upon the ground. See. So, but they see the honey. The honey is like dropping out of the trees, right? But they can't put it into their mouth because they feared the oath. They had taken this oath. But Jonathan didn't hear the oath, right? Because he was like somewhere in the back. So he took some of the honey, and his eyes were enlightened, right? And then he got in trouble with his dad and all this stuff. But the fact is, he was the one that knew, you know? And so he was able to act wisely that day. But then there's other examples. Think about Samson when he took the honey. Did that make him wise? Maybe you might say it did, but maybe not. And after a time, he returned to take her, his wife. And he turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion, because he had killed the lion before. Okay, but he didn't know. He just left. And when he came back, then there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass. He took thereof in his hands and went on eating, and came to his father and mother, and he gave them, and they did eat. But he told not them that he had taken the honey out of the carcass of the lion. Now he's a Nazarite. He's not supposed to touch the dead bodies. He's not supposed to give it to people too. When you touch a dead body, that means you're unclean. So you're not supposed to go and give it to your parents and all this stuff, right? What he did. That's why he's not being wise here. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young men to do. Because his father went down to the woman that he was supposed to marry. And it came to pass when they saw him that they brought 30 companions to be with him. And Samson said unto them, I will not put forth a riddle unto you. If you can certainly declare it unto me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. But if you cannot declare it to me, then shall you give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And they said unto him, Put forth thy riddle, that we may hear it. And he said unto them, Out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the riddle. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, Entice thy husband, that he may declare unto us the riddle, lest we burn thee in thy father's house with fire. Have you called us to take that we have? Is it not so? Because back then a change of clothes is pretty expensive. That's why it's not a small thing. Now for them, they're each getting just one, and he's getting 30. So he's going to get kind of rich off of them, right? That's what that is. And they don't like that either. But each of them is still expensive for each of them. But it's not like the end of the world. For each of them, they could have just bought it, but they don't want to do it. So now they're threatening his wife. And Samson's wife wept before him and said, Thou dost but hate me, and lovest me not. Thou hast put forth a riddle unto the children of my people, and hast not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father nor my mother, and shall I tell it thee? And she wept before him the 7 days while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. She told the riddle to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If ye had not plowed my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle. Because he knew that they talked to his wife, right? That's what he's saying. They're plowed with my heifer. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew 30 men of them, took their spoil, and gave charge of garments unto them, which expounded the riddle. And his anger was kindled, and he went up to his father's house. But Samson's wife was given to his companion, whom he had used as his friend. So I'm telling you this story because he took the honey and he did not display wisdom, right? Whereas Jonathan, he did. But that story's long. But you can read that story of Jonathan in 1 Samuel chapter 14. Read it from 24 to about 45 or so. You'll see what I'm talking about. But okay, moving on. Lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Spoil not his resting place. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. So this is the so there's going to be 4 prohibitions, okay? Lay not wait for the wicked man. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, right? there's 4 prohibitions here, each of them 2 lines up until we get up to verse 21. But this one is again warning against this idea of like the violent man, you know, which we saw already in verse 2 here, you know, or verse 1 and 2. Be not envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them, for their heart studieth destruction, and their lips talk of mischief. That was at the beginning of the chapter. And now we see a very similar idea here. Lay not wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Spoil not his resting place. For a just man falleth 7 times and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief. So before we saw warning to the wise person or to the son or like whoever to act wisely and not go with these wicked men. But now we have a warning to the wicked man, telling him to change his ways, to stop being that way, stop acting like that. And then this is also, by the way, it's also, notice how it says against the dwelling of the righteous, and spoil not his resting place, right? It's like not just about the person himself, but also their dwelling place. For some reason, there's this focus there, you know, because we did see something similar here as well. Through wisdom is a house builded, and by understanding it is established, and by knowledge shall the chambers be filled with all precious and pleasant riches. So here's the house of the wise, right? And then now when we get down here, he's saying don't lay wait at the dwelling of the righteous or his resting place. So it's kind of that theme, right? The idea that the wise will build their house, fill it with riches, which makes these wicked people want to go lie in wait for them, want to go and rob them, right? But the Proverbs is saying don't do it. Now, the lying in wait idea, that reminds us of Proverbs 1 again. I always bring you back here, but it's good to do it because this keeps coming up again and again. If they say, I mean, this is when the father's telling the son not to follow these wicked people. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave and whole as those that go down into the pit. They want to lay wait for people and rob them and take them, right? Take their stuff. And maybe even kill them. The way they're talking, right? It sounds like that. And then, so these guys lie in wait, right? They say they lay wait for blood, right? This is similar to this idea. Lay not wait, O wicked man. But they're not the only ones who laid in wait. We also saw the strange woman. She lies in wait as well. Now she is without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. Lieth in wait. It's a different word in Hebrew, but it's that same notion, the idea that they're waiting for you. And I think we saw something similar in 23, 28 as well. My son, give me thine heart, let thine eyes observe my ways. For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit. She also lieth in wait as for a prey, and increaseth the transgressors among men. So you often have this image of these wicked people. They lie in wait. They set the trap. They wait to trap the righteous, okay? And so it's almost like it's not always like to jump out and kill you. Like that woman, and often these people too, like these other wicked people, they're lying in wait to trick you into their wicked ideas, you know, their wicked plans that they have. The strange woman, she's not lying in wait to hurt them. She's lying in wait. She's going to hurt them spiritually, but it's like a pleasurable thing, you know? And another person they might lie in wait in a similar way for you. Like, hey, let's go have some fun. Let's go hit the club. Let's get drunk, you know? But but they're lying in wait in another way, right? To take you into that other trap. And so that's the idea here. It's not always about lying in wait to kill you. Yeah. Now you have the wicked man here and the righteous man, the Rasa and the Tzaddik, or the Tzaddiki. And we see this again here, right? Like I think the wicked, the Rasha, and the just man. The just man is also the Tzaddik. They use the same word, Hebrew. So they're using that idea again. The dwelling of the righteous, spoil not his resting place. For a just man, the righteous man, the tzaddik, he falleth 7 times and riseth up again. So this is almost like this idea of it's almost like that idea of the antithetical parallelism, where you have like it's telling them, don't spoil the resting place of the righteous, because he falls 7 times and rises up. The wicked shall fall into mischief. This is interesting, you know? So the wicked man was laying wait here against the dwelling of the righteous. Then the righteous man, he falleth and riseth up. But the wicked falls into mischief. He laid wait and he fell, you know? It's interesting the way they structure that. Let's look into that some more. But the wicked are brought down. They fall into mischief. They're brought down for good, right? That's what we've seen before as well. For example, Proverbs 4:19. The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. Okay. And to go out of Proverbs for a bit, Jeremiah 6:15. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? Nay, they were not at all ashamed. Neither could they blush. Therefore they shall fall among them that fall. At the time that I visit them, they shall be cast down, saith the Lord. And then there's some more in Jeremiah here. But you see how they're cast down, right? Cast down. We looked for peace, but no good came. And for a time of health, and behold, trouble. Trouble. Jeremiah 20:11. But the Lord is with me as a mighty terrible one. Therefore my persecutors shall stumble, and they shall not prevail. They shall be greatly ashamed, for they shall not prosper. Their everlasting confusion shall never be forgotten. They shall not prevail. They shall stumble, which is similar wording, I believe. Fall into mischief. This word fall, kashal, is the same as this word stumble here. Okay. And notice that these are the persecutors of Jeremiah, right? They're persecuting Jeremiah, so they stumble, they kashal. And so these people, they lay in wait for the righteous man, right? Jeremiah was a righteous man. They lay in wait for him to spoil him. But what happens? He fell. Jeremiah fell too, but he rose up again. And the wicked, they fall, kashal, into mischief. They shall stumble, kashal. So that's interesting. But God who sees evil and knows hearts. Now what's interesting is that we just see many proverbs about the fate of the wicked, right? It's interesting that you have this prohibition against this kind of anyway, let me move on here. Okay, rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, then let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth. Lest the Lord see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. So as we saw here, the wicked will fall, right? They will fall into mischief, and the righteous, they'll fall, but they'll stumble, or they'll fall 7 times, but they'll rise up again. But the wicked, they fall for good. But then he's telling us now, okay, yeah, they're gonna fall, but when the enemy falleth, let not thine heart be glad when he stumbleth. This is that word kashal again. Fall, kashal, stumbleth, kashal. Okay? Lest the Lord see it and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him. So if you start gloating when your enemy falls, then maybe God's gonna stop defeating your enemy for you. You know? He'll find it evil, the ra'ah. This is like it displease him. This word is ra'ah, okay? It's like he looked on it and it displeased him. Like the na is the eye or the look, and so it displeased him by its look, okay? Ra'ah. So this is similar to what we saw here. Because, you know, if you see somebody being dragged off to die and you don't do anything, then God will see it in your heart and he'll know, right? So it's a similar idea to when you rejoice at the fall of your enemy. You know, he knows. It's not something to gloat over that somebody else, even though they were being wicked and they were being justly punished. Yeah, there's some joy you can take from it in the fact that the Lord's justice is being executed, right? But you don't want to gloat about it or brag about it or be obnoxious like that about it, you know? But it's similar to what we saw here. Like, it's interesting because this is almost like a natural reaction, right? We've seen so many times in the Proverbs that these people, these wicked people, they're going to fall, they're going to stumble, they're going to suffer evil fates. But yet, we also see that, you know, I mean, we're being told not to even have it because this is kind of like the natural thing it would be for us to kind of rejoice, right? But maybe it's saying, yeah, you're going to have this natural feeling of joy or happiness when you see God's justice being enacted. I think that's just a natural thing. But I think when it's saying rejoice, I think it's like when they take it farther, when they make making a party over it or something, or like gloating about it. I think that's what it's talking about here. I mean, he's more wanting us to rejoice when he rescues us, right? So, for example, here the Lord is going to rescue these people, right? So we should rejoice in that, rather than rejoicing in the downfall of somebody else, you know? Because we're gonna leave him to do the judgments. That's the thing. That's what we see in these next parts, in this next set of verses. Fret not thyself because of evil men, neither be thou envious at the wicked. For there shall be no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out. So, what do we see here? We do see some motifs from other proverbs from before. For example, let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. For surely there is an end, and thine expectation shall not be cut off. Like, if you are in the fear of the Lord and you don't envy sinners, then there will be an end where your expectation, your hope, the thing that you wanted will not be cut off. You'll receive what you want in the end. So maybe now you see the sinners getting things that you want, or getting things that you think they shouldn't deserve because they're sinners, right? But just wait. Be patient. Let the Lord do his work. Even this, something like this here, if you think about it, like, thy expectation shall not be cut off. It's similar to that idea, right? Don't envy the sinner. Instead, be in the fear of the Lord, and thy expectation shall not be cut off. Here it's saying, when you take in the wisdom, thy expectation shall not be cut off, right? But this thing is talking about, like, I mean, this is talking about our internal kind of response to when we see people who are being punished for their wickedness. And here it's like our internal response to when we see wicked people getting things that we think maybe they should be being punished, or they should not receive those good things. Yeah. So these ones are telling us, don't rejoice when those people fall. This is saying don't get upset when they succeed. Either way, the wicked will get what they deserve in God's time. Their candle or their lamp here, the candle shall be put out, right? Whereas our expectation shall not be cut off. That is, the thing we hope for will not be cut off. But the candle of the wicked is put out. That is, their hope is cut off, right? So don't worry about them, and they'll get their due in God's time. So just worry about yourself, Now, with this idea of the candle, we can see some of that in some other places here. The light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. See? So our light, or the one who is righteous, his light is rejoicing, is happy, is celebrating. But the lamp of the wicked is put out. Proverbs 20:20. Whoso curseth his father or his mother, his lamp shall be put out in obscure darkness. Okay. And Isaiah 43:17. Which bringeth forth the chariot and horse, the army and the power. They shall lie down together, they shall not rise. They are extinct. They are quenched as tow. Tow is like this thing. It's kind of like this rope thing, but they would turn it into... Oh, wait. What is tow? Is tow the rope or is that the wax? Let me look up tow. Anyway, let me see what it says here. Hang on. Sorry, you guys. I'm trying to figure out what this towel thing is. I think it's like a rope type of thing. Oh no, it's so whack. Yeah, but they use it for rope too. So this is what it is. It's this thing that they make the when you have like a candle or like a lamp, you have this wick that they light up. So they put this towel. The towel is this rope thing. They make rope out of it, but you can use it for a wick. They put it in the lamp, and then they put the oil there, right? Then the oil goes up the wick, but the wick is just a piece of rope or something or a piece of string, and that's what they're using. That's when they say towel here. So they're quenched as towels. They're quenched as that little thing in the candle or in the lamp that the fire burns on, the little wick. Anyway, so that's that. Learning about Tao, that's good. So you don't want to fret yourself about the evil men and what they get, okay? And the wicked. So they might have something now, you'll see it now, but they won't have the reward in the end. There's no reward to the evil man. The candle of the wicked shall be put out, right? So don't worry about them. Life isn't always that predictable, but those things we can predict because God has spoken. So then this is sort of the end point of this section. Okay, my son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. For their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knoweth the ruin of them both? So this is the last of the 4 prohibitions that we saw in this section. Okay, but it begins with this idea, the kind of core message of the book of Proverbs: fear thou the Lord and the king, right? I mean, we've obviously seen the fear of the Lord playing a major role in this book. Right from the beginning, we saw it in Proverbs 1:6, I think, or 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fools despise wisdom and instruction. And then the last one we saw, I believe, was here at 23:17. Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord all the day long. Okay. So now when we get to 24:21, we've seen this idea. Fear of the Lord is very critical in Proverbs. And the king, though. Here it's joining it with the king, which is interesting because it's saying the king is this person that God has put in place. So we should fear him as well. Just like we read in Romans 13, or I think it's 1 Peter chapter 3, when he talks about how they should fear the king. Fear the Lord, honor the king, right? Let me show you that. It's 1 Peter chapter 2. First Peter 2:17. Honor all men, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. Fear God, honor the king. It's a very similar idea here, right? Fear thou the Lord and the king. So the idea of this not fearing the king is like you're rebelling against him or you're revolting against him in some kind of foolish way. And there may be times when you do have to sort of resist the king or maybe not obey him because he's telling you something to do that's against God's law. That's the reason why you might disobey him. But under normal circumstances, you should just obey the king because we're a religion that follows the law. You know, we're a religion that's very law abiding and honors the king, honors the lawmakers, and because God has already told us that he's put these people in place for his purposes, right? Whether they're Christian or not, that's not the point. He can use a king who's a non-Christian or a pagan or whatever. He can use them for his purposes. Like Cyrus, right? Cyrus was the king of the Persians, but God used him. Thus saith the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the loins of kings to open before him the 2 leaved gates, and the gates shall not be shut. You know? Cyrus, he calls him his anointed. That's like the Mashiach. The same phrase that they use about Christ. But they use him here because he's been anointed. He's been chosen to do this job, to free the Israelites, to allow them to return home to set up the temple. You know, he's kind of like a type of Christ in this situation, because he's freeing the people. So God can use these wicked kings, but so that's why you should honor the king, whether you think he's a Christian or not. Honor him. Not that you admire him necessarily or anything like that, but you give him the respect due to his position. Now, notice that the calamity of these people, the calamity and the ruin, their ruin is like a certainty. It's like this thing that it will happen, which is just like we saw here. The wicked shall fall into mischief. Rejoice not when thine enemy falleth, right? But these people fall because they're wicked. That's what happens to them. So their fall is certain. But it comes suddenly. Suddenly, and no one knows the ruin of them. No one knows, right? People don't. Or who knoweth is like the rhetorical question again. Who can know? Who can possibly know? Similar to this one, right? So shall the knowledge of wisdom be unto thy soul when thou hast found it. Then there shall be a reward, and that expectation shall not be cut off. It's the same word, the knowledge. It's the same word here. Wait, where is it? Oh, sorry, I passed it. The knowledge, the who knoweth. It's the same knowledge as in 24:14. So a lot of this, what we saw here is about the dangers of associating with the wrong people. And this is something we've seen before in these words of the wise. So the whole section, remember, the whole section from 22:17 up until here is like one little the words of the wise, right? That was beginning here, 22:17. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise. And then after this verse that we're just reading right now, 24, 22. After this, then we have another verse where it says, these things also belong to the wise. So people see that as another kind of section. And so this section is often referred to as the words of the wise. Okay. And so in this section, the words of the wise, we've seen this idea of associating with bad people, how it's dangerous. We've seen this quite a bit. For example, here, make no friendship with an angry man, and with a furious man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. Be not thou one of them that strike hands, or of them that are sureties for debts. If thou hast nothing to pay, why should he take away thy bed from under thee? So it's this idea of don't make friends with the angry man, and also don't make friends with people that want you to just make pledges and strike sureties and all this stuff. It's going to get you into trouble. Then 23:20. Be not among winebibbers, among riotous eaters of flesh, but the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So it's again telling us don't run with those kind of bad people. Don't associate with them. So this has been a major theme of this section, And even at the beginning of this chapter, we saw this. Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. Desire to be with them, like to be friends with them, to associate with them, right? Saying don't do that. Don't associate with them. So this has been a major theme here in this little section. And now this is kind of capping it off because, again, as we said, in the next section, it's kind of beginning a new section of the book, But anyway, So that I'm gonna leave that for here for today, guys, because that's the first 22 verses. And tomorrow we'll read the last part, and then also I'll go over some of the connections we can see between this chapter and the New Testament. Okay. But for now, I'm gonna call it a day. But let me just say a prayer, and then we'll wrap it up. What's going on here? Oh, this one. Okay. All right. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Father, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable unto you, O God, our rock and our redeemer. Father, what an amazing year it's been. Another year in your kingdom. What a glorious kingdom it is. And we thank you, Father, for all that you've blessed us with, all that you've done for us this year and the years to come. We thank you for sending your Holy Son, Jesus Christ, Father, to die for our sins. Bless him. Bless you, Father. Bless the holy name of God. Bless the listeners, Father. Give them strength. Give them wisdom in this coming year. Help them to grow and be strong. Help them to be good servants of you and of your Holy Son, Jesus Christ. Help us to glorify your name, Father. Not our glory, but yours and the glory of your Holy Son, Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory. Amen. All right, you guys. So thanks so much for joining me. I hope that was helpful to you to learn more about Proverbs 24. Mark 9:38. Glory to him. Amen. Amen. Glory to him. Amen. Yeah. You got the name. You got the name for it, brother. Good. All right. So yeah, we'll talk soon, guys. I'll be back in about an hour or so. If you're sorry. If you don't have a lot of plans for New Year's or whatever, neither do I, because I'm a nerd. So join me and we'll look at some videos or whatever. Maybe we'll just talk about God or something. I don't know. I don't even know what we're gonna do, but hopefully it'll be fun. Thanks for joining me, guys, and thanks for watching Toronto Bible Study. Hallelujah.
Okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shields. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not works-based heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike, Sam, Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.